An empowered woman has got so much to lend to society, so much to lend to mindsets, so much to lend to what makes us who we are as a society. Today, it is a complete honor and privilege to meet Dr. Nandita De Souza of Sethu. She is a pediatrician in the space of child development, has got a tremendous body of work to her name. But what she insists on saying to us is that it is not her, it is the team that works along with her. We find that inspirational because an empowered woman always is looking at empowering others to achieve what they do, to feeling that sense of fulfillment. Dr. Nandita, I'm very happy to meet you today.
And my honor and privilege, Rina. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I'm very grateful to your channel for giving me this platform to voice eloquent.
And you shall, because I was just speaking to somebody who works closely with you, and she said Dr. Nandita is a voracious reader and she can speak about any topic. She has got so much of inspiration to give to us. The way she is, her energy, it can beat any youngster hands down.
Well, I'm an eternal child at heart, and recently I've been calling myself a recycled teenager. So.
Yes, I like that word. I love the words that you use, and I'm sure it comes from your immense wisdom, of course, but a lot of the reading that you do, a lot of the experience you have with meeting parents, meeting families, meeting children. Children have got so much to lend to us. You used another interesting word, and I'd love to ask you about that. Tell us about neurodiversity, because I feel it is something that applies to anybody. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thanks. That's something I feel very kind of strongly about. Neurodiversity actually means that we are all different. All of us have different brains, right? And diversity is a wonderful fact of life. So, for example, if you go into a garden, you will see different plants, trees. That's beautiful. If you had only one type of plant, it would be really boring. If you look at art, there's so much of color and variety, and that's what makes it interesting. Just look at food. I mean, Indian cuisine would be terrible if you only had rice and dal and nothing else, right? So diversity really adds color to life. Unfortunately, when it comes to human beings, we try to put us into boxes and define like what should this type of person be doing, whether you are a student or you are a girl or you are from this community or you're from this socioeconomic background. And this is not good, because as I said, we are all different and all of us are valuable, because all of us can contribute, bring something to the table which is uniquely our lived experience. So neurodiversity, to come closer to my work, as you know, Sethu works with children with various developmental and behavioral challenges, right? And one thing we help parents to understand is that everyone is doing something right. So even if your child has been referred because they're struggling with maybe communication, or they're doing badly in school, or they've gotten into fights with their friends, I want to know what's going well. What is working? What is your child interested in? In fact, when families come, after greeting them, I always say, boast to me about your child. Tell me, I want to get to know your child, and I want to get to know what are your child's strengths. So that strengths-based approach is critical to understanding neurodiversity.
I appreciate it. And I love the way you've explained it, not only in relation to any of us, but also with parents who come to you with children who they want help with, who have possibly some kind of learning disabilities. And I know that Sethu is so well known for its work and the impact it's having with children with learning disabilities. Tell us about, you've seen it for over 3-4 decades. Tell us about how have you seen things changed? Of course, awareness is increasing, but are the challenges also increasing?
Right. Yes and no. Challenges are increasing because I think, as the possibilities increase, and we know that for example, many of our kids are in school, they've gone through school. Now the challenge is, okay, what next?
Yes.
In terms of, further education, in terms of maybe some employment, and the society is not ready yet in many ways for that, right? So, but it's a good challenge, because I think, we change best when like the problem is in our face sometimes, because then again all of us are different, so I can't have like one size fits all. As you mentioned, awareness has increased. We are really lucky in Goa, because it's a small state with high literacy, good network of schools. It's much easier to work to create awareness, and people also come on board. So at Sethu, our vision is an inclusive world where every child is celebrated and nurtured. And for us, so many people buy into that vision. So we're really lucky. And each of us has a circle of influence. So whether you are a family member, or you are working in some office, or you are, an entrepreneur, or you are a teacher, each of us has our circle of influence. So that's where the things have improved. What we want to communicate is that it has to be collaborative. Sethu doesn't have some magic potion or wand which we're going to wave around the child and everything will be fine. For us, families are the experts of their children, not us. We've just seen their child in the last 10 minutes, right? But they have lived so long with their child. So that's what we want to learn. And it goes back to the strengths-based approach. What's going well? What have you tried? What has worked? Maybe it worked one day, but still I want to know about it. And when we get families on board in a collaborative partnership, it's just so much easier. It's just so much more fun. It's just so much, it's liberating actually, right? Because I am not the expert who has to have all the answers which I just spout out. It just liberates me, and now I can work collaboratively with a team. We ask for extended family members, the child's school, they're going for some hobby class, their neighbors, who in your little world can be part of your child's team. Absolutely. And that's how we go forward. So it's really not changing the child, but kind of removing barriers in the environment, barriers of lack of understanding, fear. Most of the barriers are because of ignorance and fear. See, people don't know what it is, then they're like, we can't handle this, right? But once there's some education, understanding, and like, what can you do? Even if it's something small, still it will be impactful. So that's what I feel is changing and needs to get stronger. That, inclusion is everybody, everyone's in. And don't think that because you don't work with kids, or you are not whatever, you don't meet kids, or that you can't have an influence, because these kids are going to grow. They're going to become adults, and we have to change the world not only at the child level, but through it's a lifespan approach. So that makes it very exciting for me. But yeah, I mean, I work a lot with kids and their families, and as you said, it's what keeps me young and sharp. So
you've got so much to you. You've got what you've given to parents, you've got what you've got given to community.
What they've given to me is I just
your humility is amazing, and I think that's what kind of makes you that vibrant, youthful person that you are. Tell us about you. Tell us about your value systems. Tell us about your beliefs that make you or lend to your work so much, because I know it's all about you in the end, and your style of working, your leadership qualities.
Values are very important, and values comes from so many multiple sources. Of course, initially it's from where you were born and your family and so on, right? And I was really blessed. I always say this, like, people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. I was born with an entire silver cutlery set. Okay, because like I had wonderful parents, great siblings, very large family of cousins and so on. My dad was in the army, so every 2 years we'd be transferred somewhere. So I studied in 4 schools, had to learn Hindi and Sanskrit after going from Goa. So like, in retrospect, I feel, wow, what a rich exposure to culture and rich life. Yeah. And then my parents, I think, were fantastic in terms of, they were way ahead of their time. We used to make our own decisions. We used to have a very open relationship, like with my parents. I was born when my mom was 40 years old. Poor thing, like really gave her a hard time. And my older siblings always tell me, my God, you really sudhraud mummy. Because like I would argue with her, and she accepted that. She was a teacher, and my dad was an engineer in the army. So they always brought us up to have minds of our own.
Nice.
Okay, and so that, I think, at the same time, that integrity, honesty, I tend to be quite blunt. I say it like it is. I'm not good at mincing words, but I try to do it respectfully.
Yes.
And I think it just makes life so much easier. I don't expect anyone to read my mind. So, that is a value, respectful communication. My parents used to be part of a movement called Marriage Encounter, which is to bring couples closely together. So, my dad's favorite phrase was, love is communication. So, and love is a decision, it's not a feeling, and so on. So, that, I think, gave me a very good foundation and fantastic support. Going forward, you don't very often think about values, right? I mean, so at my age, I sit back and I think, okay, what are my values? And something that actually was introduced to me by my colleagues at Sethu was the culture of trust. And initially, I kind of, because there's so many things and there's so much of work, and now you have to think about this new concept. So initially I said, please, we're just doing our work to the best of our ability. What trust? And so on. I said, no, you have to articulate your culture, especially as your organization is growing older. You're not going to be here forever. And, I listened to them and I realized the value of that. So looking at just the values of our organization, right? And in terms of how do you know that these are the values? They have to be expressed. People have to see them. So that comes to the behaviors. So your values and your, like if you say trust, it should show in your behavior. Whether it is, people can rely on you either to, maybe do a good job. If you've not, to own up to it, to make amends, to listen, and like don't think that you are the one who knows everything and only your way is the best. So it takes practice.
Absolutely.
And I think, that is something which I'm still doing. I mean, I have values, but I still every day have to, learn to live by my values. And there are times when I slip, and so to go back and make amends rather than brush it over. I mean, I was, as I said, blessed to have a great family. My husband is fantastic. I always say, like, if two of us can live together, there is hope for world peace. So because we are very different, but again, connected by our values. And I mean, my workplace is amazing. I have, my friends are also very different from each other. And for me, that, just meeting new people, learning more about them, listening, and especially those who think differently from me. That's been my recent thing for the last 3-4 years, I would say, because you can see society being divided up. And it's very easy to be judgmental and say, oh, that person is so bad, or that opinion is terrible. And I do that very often. But then I step back and say, let me learn more about it. Where are they coming from? What has made them think this way? And just show curiosity rather than judge it and come down hard on anything. Of course, my values still remain. If I believe in non-discrimination, I'll call it out wherever I think it's one needs to do it. But at the same time, be curious to find out how it happened, why it happened. And
I think that's a very beautiful message from a very strong lady, that yes, values are important. It's always important to bring our consciousness back to them. I love the fact that you've admitted that yes, sometimes I do kind of stumble on them, because we all do it, and we just want to not look at ourselves that way. So it's amazing that you say it so comfortably, but you always bring yourself back. You remind yourself on why you are who you are and why it's important to go back to those values. Dr. Nandita, I do believe that yes, our upbringing, our parents, our family lends so much to our values, our habits, our mindsets, and who we are. I also believe that it is the culture of a place, the vibe, the something in the air that gives you what you are. For me, and I know for the team, the Goanness is such a big angle. How does Goa lend to you being who you are and lend to the work that you do?
Oh my gosh, I'm so blessed to be in Goa. I always tell people, we are so blessed to be in Goa.
Yeah.
I mentioned the reasons earlier, and honestly, I mean, I've lived for short periods of time outside Goa, but like I just want to come back. And I think sometimes I was thinking like, why am I so happy over here, right? Of course, I work, my family, everything's going well. But I think the key thing is I can be my own person. I don't have to live up to anybody's standards. For example, today I'm dressed up, okay? I hate dressing up. But out of work, you see me in shorts, rubber chappals. I'll go to the market, I'll meet a family who's come to Sethu, and it's like, I'm not feeling embarrassed. Oh my God, like I'm not dressed up. What car am I driving? I don't have to live to anybody else's expectations, and I will still be respected and valued for who I am. So that freedom comes, I think, from living in Goa. I don't know if I'd be able to be as chill if I was in Bombay or Delhi or anywhere else, right? But yeah, for me, that is just amazing, and people are much less judgmental, and you may have a biggest degree, but finally it's that human connection.
Absolutely.
Right? And
Totally.
I think that is something universal. So maybe people should, when you feel pressure to live up to someone else's standards, maybe that's what you should ask yourself. Is it really something that I should be doing? And I mean, I often set standards for myself, and very often I don't reach those standards, and that's okay, but they're my standards. Like, for example, cooking, like I'm terrible cook. My son always says, please don't cook. So he'll never have happy memories of a mother who used to make lovely cakes or anything. He was the only kid who always had a round birthday cake. Where others had castles and trains and don't ask me what, right? But that's me. Like, I don't feel bad. I think I'm shameless. Yes,
No,
that
that's
is.
perfect. That's perfect.
No, I don't have shame.
Yeah. No,
I honestly don't have shame. No, it's important to say this, because shame is so constricting. It's such a punishment. It's such a prison, I would say. And I don't know if you've read Brené Brown, so she talks a lot about shame and so on. And then I realized, what? Now, okay, I'm not saying I didn't have shame at 30, 40, 50, but honestly, I've become shameless. So you see me like making the biggest public errors, and I just get up and laugh. So, it's like, so I think that is, maybe that is the secret.